Hi, I'm doing the constellation Auriga, the charioteer. I'm looking on stellarium around mid-February, around 1 a.m., and I'm using Orion as my reference constellation. If you look to the west of Orion, you can find my Auriga constellation. As you can see, I have an arrow pointing, and Auriga's highlighted by its 5 main stars. So to begin, I'm going to discuss 4 of its 5 main stars, beginning with Elnath, which is its classical name, and its Bayer name is Beta Tauri. It is over 8,000 light years away, and its spectral type is F7. Its velocity is 9.75, and its magnitude is 1.65. Sorry about that. Give me one moment, and I will be right back. There we go. Okay. Another fun fact about this star is that it's the second brightest star in the constellation of Taurus. So this star is actually shared between the Auriga constellation and the Taurus constellation. So the second star I'm going to discuss is the Mahasim, which is its classical name, or its Bayer name, the Theta Aurigae. And I apologize in advance if I mispronounce any of these names or any of the names in my mythology story. Okay, to go back to this star is 165.57 light years away. Its classification is A0P psi, and as you can see at the bottom, I have the radial velocity here, and the magnitude on the bottom here. I have it listed that way on all of my stars when discussing them. A fun fact about this star is it has more than 3 times the mass of the Sun and over 5 times the Sun's radius. The next star I'm going to discuss is Menkauen, which is its classical name, and its Bayer name is the Beta Aurigae. It is 81.1 light years away, and its spectral type is A2V. Its radial velocity and magnitude are listed down here at the bottom, and a fun fact about this star is that it's actually a binary star system, even though it appears as a single star in the sky. The final star I'm going to discuss is Capella, which is its classical name, and its Bayer name is Alpha Aurigae. It's 42.8 light years away, its spectral type is M1, and its evolutionary stage is actually red clump. Its velocity and magnitude are listed at the bottom here, with the velocity and radial velocity on top, and the magnitude on the bottom. A fun fact about the star is that it's actually the brightest star in the Auriga constellation. Not only is it the brightest in this constellation, it's the 6th brightest in the night sky, and on top of that, it is the 3rd brightest in the northern celestial hemisphere. And although it appears to be a single star, it's actually a quadruple star system organized in 2 binary stars pairs: Capella AA, Capella AB, Capella H, and Capella L. Okay, moving on to my deep space objects. I'm talk about 3 different deep space objects. As you can see, I have the image of each of them with an arrow pointing to where they are located. Starting with Messier 36, also shortened to M36. Its location is NGC 1960, and a description of it is that it's actually a pinwheel cluster. It was first discovered in the 17th century, and it contains at least 60 stars. It's 4,100 light years away and 14 light years in diameter, and its estimated age is 25 million years. The second deep space object I'm going to discuss is the Messier 37, also known as M37. Its location is NCG 2099, and its description is an open cluster. It was also discovered around the 17th century, and it contains around 500 stars. Within that, it contains about a dozen red giants, and it's estimated to be 300 million years old. The next deep space object I'm going to discuss is Messier 38, also known as M38. Its location is NGC 1912, and its description of it is starfish cluster. This was also discovered in the 17th century, and it is approximately 4,200 light years away. It's 25 light years in diameter, and it's 220 million years old. Moving on, I'm going to discuss the mythology of Auriga. As you can see, Auriga is right here with these 5 stars, and you can see it is a man holding the reins of a charioteer and a goat and the 2 baby goats. So, in mythology, Auriga is most frequently identified with, again, I apologize for my mispronunciation, Erichthonius, the king of Athens, and the son of the fire god Hephaestus. So Erichthonius was raised by the goddess Athena, who taught him many skills he wouldn't have learned normally, and he was the first man to tame and harness 4 horses to a chariot, imitating the chariot of the sun god, which is why you can see the chariot reins in his hands right here. Zeus was impressed and later placed him among the stars, and he's usually credited for the 4-horse chariot. And there's actually another myth that he's associated with. In that myth he actually represents Hephaestus himself, the lame god who built the chariot so that he could travel anywhere he wanted, whenever he wanted, without difficulty. But the first myth I discussed is usually the myth that he's most associated with, but just wanted to mention another myth that he's associated with, just so everyone gets a clear understanding of all the myths he's associated with. Okay, here are my references, and I paired each reference that I used with a slide. So this is my first slide, but it's also the constellation star images that I used throughout my presentation. Here's where I found my 4 brightest star information, my deep space object information, and my mythology information. Along with that, my 3 questions are, the first question being, what constellation do you use as a reference for finding Auriga? The second question being, which star is the brightest star in the Auriga constellation? And the third question being, in the main myth that I spoke of, what animal is being carried? Thank you for listening, and I can't wait to see everyone else's presentations.